In this session, we want you to understand the power of an effective vacation Bible school. Now, a lot of churches, when they approach Vacation Bible School, they see it as an event. And so they evaluate it based on numbers as far as how many kids attended, how many decisions did we have, and all that is great. But in the middle of that kind of evaluation, you can't forget that Vacation Bible School is about the individual. And the power of an effective Vacation Bible School is not about numbers. It's not about the kind of craft you did. It's not even about the amount of fun you had. It's about long-term life change. And so in other words, it's about these kids understanding who Jesus is, falling in love with him, learning the plan that he has for them, making decisions to know him, to follow him, making decisions to share him. Bible school at the heart of a powerful Vacation Bible School is a long-term effect on the kids' lives, and usually not only the kids' lives, but the parents' lives as well. A lot of this happens through relationship. You'll see in some of the later sessions when we talk about follow-up that kids will come to an exciting, fun event for maybe 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. I'm talking about like your Wednesday night regular activities. If you have an incredible activity going on, they'll come for several weeks, but they won't stay because it's a fun, engaging activity. What keeps kids is relationship. There was a kid in the 1800s, and he would walk, of course Chicago was a lot smaller then, but he would walk across most of Chicago to go to D.L. Moody's church. And one day he was walking along, and right next to him there was a church. And the Sunday school superintendent, as he's walking by, he knew where he was going. He walked over to him and he said, "Son," he said, "why do you walk all the way over there to go to that church when this church is right here?" Now, kids are honest, and you know that. And this is what he said. The kid said, "I go where they love a fellow." And so at the core of an effective, powerful Vacation Bible School is this, that kids walk in and you truly love them. I mean, it's not about, sometimes if you have a big Bible school and maybe your classes, they're full and teachers maybe get frustrated because, I don't have enough craft stuff, and there's all sorts of things that can happen. All sorts of things that can distract you from your purpose. And your purpose is to love these kids and to introduce them to Christ. There's a story. Now, a lot of times when we talk about the power of a Bible school, we tell the positive. I'm going to share with you a negative. There was a little boy, and this is a long time ago. He went to church and he had an experience. And he shared this experience with a lady from his church. When he was in his 70s. Now I say it was his church. He didn't actually attend there. Another family member attended there. But he would never go. He had no interest, didn't want to go. And one day she sat down with him and she just asked him. She said, "Surely there's something that's happened in your life that makes you respond the way you do anytime we bring up church." And this is what he said. He said, "When I was a little boy," he said, I went to church. My neighbor invited me to church. And I went to church. I was elementary age, and he said it was fantastic. He said, "I loved it. It was fun. It was engaging. We had snacks. They shared stories I'd never heard, and the stories were amazing." He said, "I absolutely loved it." He said, "But as I was walking out of Sunday school that day, the teacher called me over, and he said I had worn overalls, and he said I had a hole in the knee of my overalls. And he said I didn't have a lot of clothes. My family was poor. And she pulled me aside and she said, 'When you come to church, you need to dress your best for God.' And she pointed to the hole in his knee and she said, 'Now I don't want to see you coming to church anymore in overalls dressed like this.' And his response to her was, 'No, ma'am, I never will.' And all those years later, when he was in his 70s, he shared this story and he said, 'I made that lady a promise, and to this day, I have kept that promise, that I have not stepped back into church again.'" Now I want you to think back to that Sunday school teacher. Her intention, her idea, "Hey, dress your best for God," became a distraction to what was at the heart of what she should have been doing. What if she would have looked beyond how he was dressed and looked at him and said, "You know what? I am so glad you are here today. I love you, and I want you to come every Sunday." What if she had cared more about his heart than she did his clothing. Now, in your case, maybe it's not how kids come that are dressed. Maybe there are kids that come and they have discipline issues. Now, we're going to talk about discipline. And maybe you look at them and your thought is Bible school would be a whole lot easier if they weren't here. I want you to understand, you've let something become a distraction from what's at the heart of an effective, powerful vacation Bible school. What's at the heart is the fact that God created these kids. God loves them. God loves you. You know him. You have the truth and you get to bring it to them. And when you do that, it's not you that brings a change in life or long-term impact. Jesus does that. But it's when kids come to him, and how kids come to him most effectively is not through a fantastic curriculum. We're going to share with you later. Don't expect your curriculum to lead kids to Christ. It's going to be your leaders that lead kids to Christ when they're intentional, when they're focused on what matters, and when they're trained to know when a kid's ready to accept Christ and how to lead him to the Lord. And so in this session, I simply wanted to challenge you to keep focused on what's at the heart so that you can have a powerful, effective vacation Bible school.